Hello and welcome to the table, Baldurs Gate, D&D, and One Piece fans. Have a seat, grab your favorite drink, and settle in for a unique character build and completely new class from one of my favorite Baldurs Gate Nexus mod authors. This episode will be going through all 12 levels of the Seaforged class, specifically the subclass of the Dreadnought. Massive credits to one of my favorite mod authors, Gentleman Babu, for the creativity and hard work that they put into this class. Now, to quote the mod author on what the class description is all about, life on the open waters has shaped you into who you are. Embrace your nautical origins and carry your love for the sea with you, always. Harness her rage and be the instrument of her fury. And specifically with the Dauntless class description, wield your trusty anchor, ahoy. Engage your foes aggressively, utilizing your bellowing voice to enrapture them in various status ailments. These shouts cost nautical charges, which replenish on a long rest. Once the opposition has been softened by your whales of war, return what's left of them to the ocean with singular gargantuan swings. You will not strike often, but it will not matter. Often the first blow you land is the very last they will ever feel. So, based off of both description, lads and lasses, we're gonna go with a pirate One Piece theme. Now, admittedly, I myself am not super well versed in the lore of One Piece, hence, One Piece fans, please fill in any gaps or details that you would like to see with this character build or future builds with the other subclasses. However, I am aware there is a type of devil fruit that allows the user to turn parts of their body into anchors, and while this class does use anchors as a weapon while summoning them, hence we will call this the human anchor build. And yes, as I said before, One Piece fans, let me know in the comments which character you would probably base this off on, with choices in leveling, and trying to stick to the roleplay of keeping with the character. As always, I am very much open to critiques for all of my character builds and overall improving them, whether it's metagaming or sticking with what the character is all about. And also, it's a good excuse for me to talk to all of you about your favorite fandoms and adding them to Baldurs Gate as close as possible. And specifically for all the new people coming to my channel, yes, I know returning viewers, bear with me on this little jargon here. It's kind of like my little welcoming speech to the new viewers, creating Baldurs Gate 3 characters utilizing mods both for enhancement and also roleplay replayability. The replayability is definitely something that you're into or would love to hear about different types of modded character builds. I'd love to hear some of your personal favorites or ideas in the comments below, and also what you would pair this class with in terms of multi-classing or completely other build requests too. And yes, some of you probably know I do have some narrative-driven Total War Warhammer campaigns on the side. They were originally filler episodes, but I also do have fun with like those types of Let's Plays too. So if unique war stories or also, like I said, different modded character builds are up your alley, I'd love to have you join us on future adventures like those, friends. So remember to hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon notifications for those. Also, for new viewers who only stumbled upon this video, the structure of it is going to be the first level, specific choices in that, and then levels 2 through 12, wrapping up later with specific gear and equipment to complement the build in terms of what the mod author had intended, the playstyle, or improving and leaning into the different strengths of the build. I'm already thinking that, well, this could really pair well with Barbarian, or the different subclasses of Barbarian, when it comes to like the specific weapon and strength. And yes, we'll save separate videos for those. I'm already really excited for it as well. But without further ado, let's get into the first level of this build. Right, friends. For returning viewers, yes, I know it is another human race that we will be using, and for the new viewers too. It may seem very basic that we're using human, but for both returning and new viewers, I am loving the variant human race passives mod, which adds different types of, well, not just different, but a huge variety of different passives we can choose from to customize and fully deck out this character and to maximize the potential at the early stages. And side note too, I will admit Variant Human just makes both Baldur's Gate and also D&D as a whole more like better incentive to actually play as a human than just being super Billy basic. But enough of that jargon out of the way, let's get into the passives that we'll be choosing for this build. So the first one, we're going to choose resiliency and strength, just because when it comes to the ability point modifier, strength is going to be the weapon damage output and the one that we will be relying on the most. In terms of the other two, we will be picking up fast hands to gain an additional bonus action. Yes, action economy is going to be huge, and that's the thing too, is with this class it was stated that you won't be attacking often. However, we're going to circumvent that by choosing fast hands, gaining that additional bonus action, thus allowing us more potential to have more attacks in combat. So that is our workaround for it. And then also to complement the class too, we're choosing the last one, Brutal Critical. You train to strike swift and true. When you land a critical hit, you roll an extra damage die as well as the normal additional critical dice. So the thing with Brutal Critical is the fact that you should be rewarded for landing those critical hits with your giant anchor. Now, in terms of the fighting style too, we're going to be picking up Great Weapon Fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack with a two-handed melee weapon, that die is re-rolled once. So this is essentially our safety net, our assurance that we're not going to get minimal damage. We're going to at least get medium to high damage with our anchor or swings. Now, for background, roleplay purposes, you could pick up Soldier, giving you skills of athletics and intimidation. In a way, you could justify being a pirate is kind of like a soldier. Now, with the ability output modifier, dexterity is going to be at a respectable 14, so overall a +2. Constitution at a strong 16, overall a +3. And then strength, thanks to picking up resilient, we're going to have an even 18, so overall +4, which is super high at starting level 2. Now, the downside is we are going to be taking points away from intelligence and charisma, but in my opinion, it's very much worth it to get those extra points into strength and constitution. Constitution mainly because you will need that extra health to tank incoming blows, and then strength to really dish it back on your enemies. For skill proficiencies, you'll have athletics +6, investigation +1, nature +1, survival +2, intimidation +1, and performance +1. At second level, we gain access to the subclass of the Dreadnought, which grants us different subclass features, actions, and spells. With the spell choice, I would personally pick up Shout of Madness. Shout of Sloth is very useful too in terms of having enemy movement range, but with Shout of Madness, your bellowing voice commands all who hear you to be engaged by a myriad of voices from within. Targets who fail to make a wisdom saving throw are affected with madness for 1 turn. I do like the madness effect of making everyone hostile in the vicinity. The thing is, basically making enemies turn on each other and providing you, in a sense, an extra ally in battle. Nautical Charge is the subclass feature. Dreadnought Source of Power, brimming with the destructive force of the ocean's waves. Actions, Challenging Shout. Beat your chest like a war drum. Targets within range must roll a wisdom saving throw or be taunted into attacking you for 2 turns. This is essentially debating them and getting them a goaded condition. So this provides you with that aggro or tanking potential there too. We also gain the action of Ahoy There Matey. Retrieve your trusty anchor. Gods help all that are on the receiving end of this weapon as a permanent effect. Essentially, this allows you to summon that giant anchor. It is counted as two-handed and a great axe as well. We also gain the cantrip Goliath of the Seas. grow to the size of a baby kraken, you have advantage on strength saving throws and receive a 1d6 damage boost to weapon and unarmed attacks. So I like that as well. It's going to really stack up with some of the damage output potential in terms of our equipment, plus also our leveling choices too. At level 3, we gain the subclass feature of Punch Drunk. Repeat concussions have rendered your foes vulnerable. Decrease the requirement to critically strike on targets that are dazed by 1. This effect can stack. Dazed targets that are critically struck by you have an extra damage die rolled against them. So that extra damage die will also pair up well with that other extra damage die from the passive at first level. Bluto Smash, 2 to 16 damage. Hitting one's foe is not enough. Smash that poor unfortunate with your might, sending a shockwave through them and into other surrounding foes. Very useful AoE attack there. We also gain the access to 2 passives here. For the first one, I would personally choose A Pirate's Life for me. You've seen it all during your journeys on the open blue. Gain advantage on Frighten saving throws, allowing it so that you won't get conditioned with Frighten and Frozen in Fear. And also the other passive, I would personally choose Best Friend to allow you to summon a familiar on the battlefield and thus have yet another extra ally to fight alongside you. Even though really quite frankly you can literally hold your own in battle. At level 4 we gain another nautical charge and a spell choice here. Shout of Fear is what I would personally pick. Your bellowing voice commands all who hear you to be engaged by sheer terror. Targets who fail to make a wisdom saving throw are frightened for 1 turn, thus potentially taking away movement and also gaining a disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. This is a really good status effect, as essentially you lock your enemies in place and you can outmaneuver them or close the distance and strike them down. Now for the feat here, I would personally pick up ability improvement. Add all 2 of your points into strength, rounding it up to the max of 20, and giving us an overall +5 at such an early stage. At level 5, we gain a class action, Mighty Swing. Reach within to muster the might of the waves, crash upon the target with 2 bonus damage for 1 turn. As for the class passives, I would personally pick up Drawn and Quartered. Gallows awaits your enemies. Deal 1d6 additional damage against enemies who are not at max HP. So for all of those tanky enemies, this is essentially a quicker way to crank out a little bit more damage and make it so the fight doesn't last too long. At level 6, we gain another nautical charge and also a spell choice here, which I would personally pick up Concussive Bellow. Echo of your voice rattles your foes within their very core. Targets who fail to make a Constitution saving throw suffer chest trauma for 1 turn. With chest trauma, you have the enemy has disadvantage on Constitution saving throws, and this is the key thing here: 1 fewer action. Having that ability to potentially make an enemy skip their turn, that's definitely something that I'm not going to pass up. And also in terms of passives, I would personally pick up the Menace passive feature. Society wasn't ready for your abrasive attitude, and we gain advantage on intimidation checks. Very much piratey-esque. At level 7, the class passive I would personally choose is Stampede Stroll. Rush through life with little care for what's in your way. Increase your movement speed by 5 meters. This does seem very simple, but 5 meters could be the make or break when it comes to closing the distance on your enemies. At level 8, we gain another nautical charge, and also the feat I would personally pick up here is Great Weapon Master. When you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action that turn. Attacks with melee weapons you are proficient with and are wielding in both hands can deal an additional 10 damage at the cost of a -5 attack roll penalty. You can toggle this on and off, and yes, the fact that this is a toggleable feature, it adds a nice little mini game of a risk reward. Do you want that whole 10 extra damage at the cost of potentially missing? I really would say yes, it's more than worth it personally, as it's it just feels satisfying to actually get that damage in. I know it does seem like a gamble, and there are some in the D&D community who would say that just making consistent attacks even with lower damage is the better way to go, but really, let me know in the comments below which one you would choose in terms of like actually making your attacks or dishing out more damage at the cost of potentially missing too. I really do want to hear your opinions on this, my friends. At level 9, the class passive I would personally choose here for roleplay purposes and also for usefulness too is Brigade Destruction. Lived a life of tyranny, destroying all your enemies before the rising dawn peeked from under the sea. You are granted advantage on attacks initiated the first turn of combat, and also, as a reminder for advantage, makes you more likely to succeed on that attack. Roll 2 dice and use the higher value. I have a feeling that's the thing too here with advantage, is it could pair well with a Great Weapon Master too. So having the risk of a -5 to actually hitting your target, but then potentially having that canceled out with advantage, I feel like it could really go hand in hand. That's just my personal opinion though. Let me know in the comments, as always, what you think of that strategy. At level 10, we gain another nautical charge and an action of Waves of Ruin. Extra weapon damage of force and slashing. Destroy all in your way. The ocean calls for all to be submerged. At level 11, the passive I would personally choose here would be Galleon Model. Toy ship reminds you of home. Granted advantage on saving throws against spells. This is essentially us becoming an anti-mage tank. At level 12, we gain a nautical charge, and the feat I would pick up here is Martial Adept. Please note too, I am using a modded version of some of these feats too, because of the fact that with the modded version of Martial Adept, we get rid of the superiority die, but also for balance purposes, we can only use them once per turn. So the choices I would pick are Repulse. When a hostile creature misses you with a melee attack, you retaliate with a powerful strike that deals an additional 1d8 damage. This is essentially kind of like a reflect damage action. Martial Adept, Fainting Attack. Use both your action and bonus action on a turn to attack a target with advantage and deal an additional 1d8 damage. So advantage all the way, and leaning into actually being able to hit a target and take the risk of that -5 penalty to attack rolls being canceled out with the advantage. I know I'm definitely metagaming here and just trying to find loop arounds to some of the risk reward stuff with this class. It has been a lot of fun just really toying around and messing with the mechanics too. Alright friends, I had a lot of fun choosing out the equipment for us to use, and yes, it does seem a little bit ridiculous to have such a massive anchor, but it really does fit well with the theme and also the vibe of a heavy set, strong armored pirate too. Now, when it comes to the gear and equipment, it is very much tanky-esque, especially when it comes to the starting headpiece, Savarok's horn helmet, Deathbringer's sight, gain dark vision up to a range of 3 meters or 15 meters if you already have it. Number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. Effect can stack. We also gain Dauntless, can't be frightened, and cannot be afflicted with other emotion altering conditions, and a Constitution saving throw of +1 extra. Brain Drain Cape is going to be useful in terms of being anti-mage. When the wearer succeeds a saving throw against any foe's spells or actions, that foe gains mental fatigue. As a reminder, with mental fatigue, -1 penalty to wisdom, intelligence, and charisma saving throws for every turn remaining. Main piece of armor. This is a modded armor piece, everyone, and I'll leave the link to that in the mod list below. And also, essentially, this is what it sounds like, extra gear. With Astral Plate armor, we get 19 armor class and Astral Persistence, Resistance, and Blade Ward, Grievous Retribution. When an enemy damages the wearer gains Wrath for 2 turns with a +1 bonus to damage with melee weapons. Psionic Revenge, when you succeed a saving throw, the foe that caused the throw takes a 1 to 4 psychic damage. Nice little retaliation there. And yes, disadvantage on stealth checks, but that's not going to be our main forte anyway. Legacy of the Masters is also going to be a very useful item here. +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons. So we're really leaning into maxing out the potential that we can get with our anchor. Strength saving throws +1. Brisk Wind Boots are going to be used for mobility purposes. After scoring a critical hit or killing a hostile creature, movement speed is restored to maximum. So this allows us to cut down an enemy and then literally run over to the next one. It's kind of like an anti-mob weapon, or equipment I should say. Amulet of the Unworthy, resistance to slashing damage, so sword wielders, screw you. Grants vulnerability to bludgeoning damage, so we do need to be a little bit more careful with other bludgeoning weapon users. Ring of Regeneration for that nice little self-sustain. Beginning of return, it is a meager 1 to 4 hit points restored, but also it's going to mean you can take a licking, keep on hitting. Ring of Free Action, Unwavering, ignore the effects of difficult terrain and cannot be paralyzed or restrained. So essentially, we become a near unstoppable tank, and our main weapon of choice here is the anchor called Ahoy. 12 to 25 damage of bludgeoning and force. Clobber, strikes with your anchor will daze targets who fail a constitution saving throw. Make a dent, strikes with your anchor, ignore bludgeoning resistance. You also gain tenacity when you miss an attack, deal 5 bludgeoning damage anyway, so it's done a nice little compensation there. And also drop anchor, 26 to 39 whopping damage. Heave ho, strike a region of enemies, receive 1 free attack opportunity on tertiary targets within the range of the initial target for 1 turn. For a mere anchor, it has a huge amount of massive potential for overall damage output and crowd control. Alright friends, that has been my character showcase of the Seaforge class, specifically the Dreadnought subclass. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the overall build, and also if you think that I stuck pretty well with the theme of being a heavy armor pirate or just overall One Piece character. Plus also let me know if you would make any different choices. I'm always open to different types of builds or improvements that you would make to my current one. And also for both the new and returning viewers, thank you so much for taking the time and effort to check this class out. Please give the mod author a lot of props and also visit the mod link below too. And also for the new viewers, if you love what you have seen, I'd love to have you join us on more adventures like these, friends. And I'll save you a seat at the table for those next adventures. Take care and farewell.